Well, hey, I'm just here to say, Ryan loves the gays. We got bars for fucking days. Give Jackie his praise, the market's filled with haze. 420 trees, we roll up and blaze. Don't take advice from Grace, trusted trader plays. Portfolio's about to weigh, do not hesitate. The tips gang here to stay. Big up my man Knuckles, do you know the way? Wait, hey, hey, hey. Can you feel it? It's fucking coming. The money bags will soon be flowing. Tits gang ready, hedgies running. Come here, Kenny, it's time for ballman. Ryan loves the gays, let me hear you all say we can love one another in a normal kind of way. Forget about your differences, on the markets we slay. Our time is today, cause eaches will never stray. 4 years we've been in this battle, it's time to make Wall Street rattle. A massive herd of horned cattle from New Zealand to Seattle. We don't do no tail tattle, surroundings will spittle spattle, and people are gonna chattel while slows brittle and prattle. There's no need for us to straddle with Ryan back in the saddle. Marge is calling, time to skedaddle. Misha bark bark doggy paddle. Well, hey, I'm just here to say, Ryan loves the gays. We got bars for fucking days. Give Jackie his praise, the market's filled with haze. 420 trees, we roll up and blaze. Don't take advice from Grace, trusted trader plays. Portfolio's about to weigh, do not hesitate. The tits gang here to stay. Big up my man Knuckles, do you know the way? Wait, hey, hey, hey. Can you feel it? It's fucking coming. The money bags will soon be flowing. Tits gang ready, hedgies running. Come here, Kenny, it's time for bombing.
Haunted dickers down the hall, some monsters that'll make you crawl. Market whispers in the dark, greed and fear ignite the spark. Can you feel him coming? Stay away. Can you hear the scream? He's the stoned monster. Ooh, the stoned monster. He's the stoned monster. Ooh, the stoned monster. Candles flicker, blood red lines. Portfolio trapped in twisted vines. Beast lurking in the trade. Misfortune's game we all have played. Can you feel him coming? Stay away. Can you hear the scream? He's the stoned monster. Ooh, the stoned monster. He's the stoned monster. Ooh, the stoned monster. Sharks like chains, they hold you tight. Prices dropping dead of night. In the pit of market's rage, he feeds upon your wage. Can you feel him coming? you'll hear the scream. He's the Stonk Monster. Ooh, the Stonk Monster. He's the Stonk Monster. Ooh, the Stonk Monster. He's the Stonk Monster. Ooh, the Stonk Monster. He's the Stonk Monster. Ooh, the Stonk Monster.
Good morning, everyone. The best part of waking up is the tits gang in your cup. Great to see. Well, let's try that again without a big bubble in my throat. Great to see all the names, all of the faces within the chat box. Great to see everybody. Excuse me. So good to see everybody here this morning. So just before I say good morning to everybody, let's just talk really quickly about a couple of things that we have going on here, okay? So first, let's start with Heli. So Heli had its earnings. I don't know why I forgot that they had earnings. I should have remembered, but that's okay. So Heli gap down 20% on a bullish and positive earnings. So that's cool. You can see currently down on the position. Currently down on the position. Not really anything significant, but probably should have been smart and taken some profit when it got to kind of our first spot here at the 236 at 27.60. Having said all that, I'm still really just looking for it to kind of hold within this zone. All right, so with Heli might be opening up some new opportunity for people to get an even better entry than me on this thing. And I still think that this has a large amount of upside potential with that large harmonic completion and the nice consolidation. So we'll see if Heli can hold in this range at like $21 to $20. If it can hold that range, things on this will look pretty good, but not too much to add on to this thing. All right, so we're starting with the shitty trades that are kind of moving here this morning. The next one is going to be LPSN. So again, I don't know why people are freaking. Well, okay, I shouldn't say that because I do actually know why, but I should start with a conversation here. Again, guys, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this because I've made my opinions and my feelings extremely well known. And if I haven't made them well known to you, let me make sure that I make them well known to you here and now today. We knew it was going to come back down, right? Once we heard about the reverse split news so that they could remain listed on the NASDAQ, we knew it was going to come down because that's what the fucking computers do. Believe me, this isn't actual liquidity that is driving the price down right now. All this is computers reading dilution, warrants, notes, offering, and so they hear reverse split and they're like, reverse split? Huh? Dump it. And so they dump it. Listen, I will open up my broker right now and I will tell you the exact percentage that I am currently down. Oops. All right, so I am down on my LPSN 55.69 nice percent. So I'm down 55.6% on my LPSN. I want to make sure that people hear me and understand me loudly and clearly when I say this. I have complete conviction. If the trade ultimately doesn't pan out and doesn't work out, well, boo. That sucks, right? But it's a trade, and it just didn't work. That's okay. But like, I've put what I have put into this company, and I'm comfortable with the trade and the position that I currently have. The potential for upside on this thing negates any fear that I have about my position being down 58%. Once the split comes through, I'm sure I'm going to get asked this a lot, so I want to make sure that people understand this. Once the split comes through, do these indicator signals get filled? No. Everything adjusts for the split. So hopefully TradingView's chart will come on here and say, adjust for the split. And I'll just click this and then everything will move. But just to give you an example, okay? There's two indicator targets that you guys have been obsessed with since we've started with LPSN, and myself included, because I see these targets and I see the potential for the stock to get there. So for example, we'll just talk about these two targets here. So 245 and 58.85. The 245 indicator target, okay, it multiplies by 15 because that's the split. It's 1 to 15. So that indicator target will now become 36.75. So let's say, for example, the price is, let's just make it even, 47 cents, okay, multiplied by 15. So the stock price will be 7. And then this indicator target will be 30, whatever I just said. I don't remember because I'm literally brain dead. Okay, so no, those indicator signals will not be filled because of the split and the movement on the stock. Okay, so those indicator targets just move up. It's the same thing that happened to Root. Okay, so Root also did a split here. Okay, Root also did a split, not a reverse split, just a regular split. Okay, of 18 to 1. And this indicator target that we had at $180 on Root, it ended up shifting, right? So it wasn't actually at 180 back here. I think at the time it was, maybe it was just like 80 or 90 or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, guys. I really don't, but the indicator signal that was left here at 180 was different prior to that split. Everything just adjusts, okay? So the targets that I have for LPSN remain unchanged. And so my thought process with LPSN is very simple, okay? And I want to give you a glimpse into what my idea is. And then we don't have to talk about this thing because either you get it or you don't. And it just is what it is, okay? If I have $5,000 in this stock, right? Yes, it's down 50 whatever fucking percent, okay? But my thought process here is simple. I don't own options. I just own straight up stock, okay? And so if I own just straight up stock, even if it goes lower and lower and lower and lower, which again, I don't think it will, okay? But I'm giving you the mindset of how I'm thinking and approaching LPSN right now, okay? If it keeps going down and 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 down, I understand that my position will go lower, but I have infinite time, right? I have infinite time because I have shares. So either the company goes to zero and Jackie loses 5,000, or the stock builds support at the same area that it has bounced off before, okay? And if it can build support at this area with a potential deep butterfly harmonic completion just waiting here, okay? If that occurs, then this thing can begin to come back up. Now, the reason that coming back up is so important is the obvious. The increase of your stock. Now, the reason it becomes exponentially more important to me and my mindset and approach to LPSN is that I have indicator signals. Not everybody has this little indicator thing, right? In fact, I've never shared it with any of you, and some of you have it from other places, but nobody has this indicator. And so you guys have seen with GME and GoPro and Finger and Bull, and we're going to get to all of that, that indicator signal has a 95% success rate. 95%. Once the stock begins to trend in the direction of the indicator signal, it's 95%. And so with LPSN, if it starts to build support here, right? If it starts to build that support and double bottom or whatever you want to call it, okay? If LPSN starts building that support and then pushes back up, it will then begin to trend in the direction of the indicator signals, the one here and then obviously the two big ones up here, okay? With this harmonic completion and a potential second harmonic completion with a double bottom at support, this could really turn around and turn around quickly. And so if this stage, I'm down 58%, well, a rise to just the first indicator signal makes me profitable. I go from being down 2,500 to suddenly being up like 1,000. So for me, I look at these signals, I look at these technicals, I look at the potential double bottom, and I say to myself, am I comfortable holding a $2,500 to $3,500 loss for the chance that this thing might ultimately turn back up and go to where I think it can? Yes, I am comfortable with that. Am I disappointed that it hasn't just gone up and hit the other indicator signals and given us the opportunity to get out with a big fat profit? Yeah, I'm really disappointed about that too. But I've held shittier stocks for longer and been rewarded on them. And I don't necessarily think that that is, I'll say, the best approach to trading in the stock market. But when you have conviction in a trade and reason to believe that that stock can ultimately go higher, sometimes I'm willing to hold through a little bit of a shitstorm. Okay? And I think that LPSN is one of those stocks that if I'm willing to hold through the shitstorm, I could be paid exponentially on this thing. And my thought process is really quite simple. Okay? If I get back to break even, and then this thing really does hit those other two indicator targets that aren't really that far in front of us, you're talking about turning $5,000 into $15,000 to $20,000. And that can happen like pretty quickly. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, listen, I'm okay to hold this. Because if it goes to zero, yeah, I'll be fucking pissed that and you just flush away $5,000, right? Like that'd be super disappointing. But the potential opportunity for future gain is exponential. And I've done my homework about the company. I like the thesis. I like the idea. If I like the idea and I think the targets are legit, then I'm willing to hold. I may not have got the best fucking entry of all time, but I'm willing to hold through some of this shit to see if my thesis can come to fruition and give me a big gain. So yes, I see it in the upper right corner, down 13%. I see it. I'm okay. Are you? All right. So we've gotten through the two shitty ones, LPSN, and then I don't remember. Oh yeah, Heli. Right, Heli. Okay. So we've gotten through the two shitty ones. Let's talk about some things that are kind of going on right now. So SPY is sort of coming down, not really that much, but it's down 0.25%. The Tesla/Tesla Q is, not really doing too much, but there is now a complex head and shoulders on the 30-minute/1 hour with Tesla. Shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder, shoulder, dump. Now, it might not just necessarily go like this, okay? Like, it doesn't normally work like that. Oftentimes, maybe you'll see something like this, right? But this could still take some time, okay? And I will also say that on Tesla's daily, if you go to the RSI where we were watching the failure swing, you can see that the failure swing, we rejected the back test of it and have pushed down. So now the idea being is that this wants to go for a test of center, right? And find the confirmation of the bullish trend, right? And then if it fails this, well, we already know that the Tesla Q and Tesla puts are going to fucking print, and that complex head and shoulders is probably legit. All right. So Tesla continues to look interesting, just hasn't really done very much yet. Okay. But we can see the finish line. We're getting close. All right. And that's why we're paying close attention to SPY to see if this thing is ultimately going to break down. Alrighty. What else? Anything big dog here? UNH hit another new high since our entry and filled more of the gap. The gap is not completely filled, but it is exceptionally close. Folks, I will be taking any leap profits. I will be taking them on that gap fill. So anyone that's holding leaps on UNH, I will be taking profit on that. As far as stock, I am not touching my UNH stock. I am not touching my UNH stock. Okay. Everybody, thumbs up? Thumbs up? Okay. Thumbs up. PayPal doing extremely well since we spoke about it 2 weeks ago and looking for an entry within this green box zone. We got it. We got a beautiful swing now. Okay. And then with this, you can see I've measured a harmonic. Okay. And the completion of said garlic is right here at approximately 85 to 86. All you need from PayPal is to break 77. If PayPal can break 77, you will see that big swing up to 86. And then this will turn into a phenomenal trade. All right, so keep eyes on PayPal for that. Okie dokie. Okay, we're off of the big dog stocks, and now we can move over. Also K-View. Sorry, just wanted to bring this up. K-View. Harmonic reaction. There you go, folks. So K-View is finally starting to move after the harmonic completion. So good stuff. Good stuff, folks. Great stuff there. Okay, let's move to the smaller cap stuff. So first, bull. I am bull. I like stock. Stock go up. I am brokerage. I am good brokerage. I am cooler than Robinhood. I go up. I am bull. All right, so bull terminal candle, beautiful reaction. We got a great entry, already up 10% since the entry. So bull looking really, really good. All right. RSI bouncing off of that wedge that we drew, right, after a little back test. So bull looking good. Be patient because like some of the technicals still need to kind of come up with us, but I would love to see a test of the daily 200 and the 0.5. And if we can break that, I'd love to see us get through the daily 50. And if you can get through those two things, Weeble, Weeble, Weeble. Can I get copyright strike for that? I don't think so. I'm fine. It's fine. So Weeble looking really good, folks. Weeble looking really good. And like, I would just really like to see Weeble retest this 236. And then this would be a really nice trade. Alrighty, so that's Weeble. Bull. Okay, next on the list, FNGR. Can we get some W's in the chat for our guys Lencho and 36th Street Mud? Can we get some W's in the chat for 36th Street Mud and Lencho? Holy moly, folks. These guys brought it to our attention last week. We saw the 3 rising valleys. We saw the beautiful RSI doing the same thing, making hot coffee with the DMI positive up, and we said, hey, that looks like a good potential trade. And folks, from our entry on Friday last week, bingo, bango, bongo, right up to that tooth or the 382, 28%, looking for more. All right. So with FNGR here, what you're looking for is a break of this level. If you can break like 220 to 230, FNGR will go sicko mode. Sicko mode. Like actually sicko mode. And then $500 here turns into 1,100 total. Very legal. Very cool. So this thing right here, folks, FNGR, 220 to 230. That's the big one. 220 to 230. Okay. Next on the list, UPST. Folks, this is beautiful. Beautiful consolidation post-harmonic completion. You now have a simple fucking way to manage this trade now on UPST. Right? We're looking for this, and now look, you have identified stop loss. You don't want to see it break these lows, right? Because this is where it's clearly held 2 times already. So you put a little stop loss, maybe just, 5%. There you go. And then look at that, a 4-to-1 risk-reward ratio. Profit targets to aim for, harmonic completion, right? RSI in a bullish RSI channel / wedge. Holy cow. UPST looks AAA setup here. Loving what this thing is doing. Loving the consolidation. All right. Next on the list, G Pro. It's Mr. Go. GoPro. Mr. GoPro. So GoPro, again, we spoke about this. I think this was yesterday or the day before. I don't remember, but beautiful consolidation at this range, right? And so what we talked about is on this GoPro trade that we jumped in from back over here. I don't remember which one, but back over here. Once this started to consolidate, we said, listen, this might be a head and shoulders. It probably isn't. But the smart thing that we can do is move our stop loss now on this initial trade up below that low. Because we don't really want to see GoPro go below that now. You've got your macro 382. That's the low within this trending move. So to break that would probably signal that this thing was going to come back down. And we don't want this trade, the shares that we have on this thing. And I'm saying it's me and my multiple personalities because nothing said here is financial advice. With our shares here, we don't want them to lose a shitload of value. So the way to do that is to be protective and proactive, right? And moving our stop losses up. And this is an example of moving the stop loss up after the move had kind of happened and saying, if this low is lost, then this trade, it's over. Anybody get that reference? Hopefully someone got that reference. And so now we've seen GoPro make a great pop off of this green box of support. Now I put it as a green box because that was our prior resistance, which we've now tested and held as support so far. There's still a lot of time left in today, so we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but it's looking better. Okay, and the longer the GoPro consolidates above this green box of support, above this macro 0.5 Fibonacci in red, the longer it does that, the better your odds are, right, of going from here up to the golden pocket where we have two separate indicator signals lying in wait for us. Now, obviously, we do have a little bearish crab that we have to be concerned of within that green circle at like 310 to 320. But GoPro continues to grit its teeth and show signs of life here. Okay, speaking of gritting its teeth, SPY is shitting. So our little trade here from the open this morning is looking good. And I'll explain what my thought process was here once we just get through some of these small caps. And then, yes, excuse me, we're obviously going to get to GameStop, okay? So everybody just calm down. Just fucking stay with me first. Just stay with me. Stay with me. All right, so that's what we got going on with GoPro. All right. Now, let's keep going on our list, our little mission here. So QSI, you guys know, it's quantum stock, so we're being patient with that. Funko open, not much to say there. We talked about UPST. MNKD has now come back, still within that 4-hour RSI wedge. It has come back in, so still very interesting. I wanted to get to two stocks down here. Okay, ANF, we're still monitoring the daily RSI wedge with the harmonic completion. Just haven't, I literally haven't done anything with this yet. I'm just watching it, just for now, okay? It still needs time. HUN is still at support. Who's ever telling you that it's broken support or this, that, and the, no, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. Look at the giant box. See the huge golden box where we marked off the bounce and the bounce and the bounce. That it's literally still above it. So just whoosah, okay? It literally moves like two grandparents fucking. So you have to be fucking patient with it. All right. Now, Peloton, you guys know about the daily golden cross that's currently being tested. I haven't done anything with this. I haven't made a trade on this. I haven't made a play on this. I haven't touched it in one bit because I'm still just very hesitant with the market and I don't want to jump into things too early. So I haven't touched this yet. I am interested in it and I've got it on the watch list. And this zone that it's at like 720 to 730, it's a good zone because you have a way to manage your risk. All right. I think it might come just a little bit underneath it. And I think that is where there could be a potential trade because there might be a bullish shark right here. Oops. I drew that incorrectly. Sorry. There we go. There we go. That's what I was looking for. All right. So there might be a bullish shark right here. All right. And it completes roughly back at 640. And if it gets down to this range with a harmonic completion and this nice little, I'll say kind of higher lows that it's been making over the last, like, I'll say 1.5 to 2 years, that harmonic completion could be the thing that helps propel Peloton from here and then back through this 236 and then potentially up towards that macro 382. All right, so that's kind of what I'm watching for Peloton. I'm not touching it yet, but I am super interested. Okay. ATOS. So we hit that indicator target yesterday. I don't know if that happened on stream. I can't remember, but we talked about it consolidating above the 382, looking for the breakout from this 382 up to the indicator signal and the 0.5, which was a nice 20%. And then I told you guys that if you are willing to hold that trade, there is a real world chance where it can then complete this larger harmonic. Okay, this being a bearish bat. So there is a bearish bat on ATOS that completes at approximately 153. So if you took a trade from where we initiated it up to our first target, that was 16%. And then if you've held it, thinking that it could potentially get to that harmonic target, look what that trade could then turn into. From 16% to 56. You see why we were looking at some of these things like ATOS, Tron, Blue Sky, Poet, FNGR, right? Do you see why we were talking about them? They might not be the most amazing companies or the most amazing stock, but when they already have momentum, and then we have targets, whether they're targets like a golden pocket or a harmonic completion or whatever it happens to be, when we have targets to aim for and the stock has momentum, this is how you can kind of, I'll say, quote unquote, predict the future and say, hey, this thing might actually just keep going all the way to that target. It's already got so much momentum, right? Look at all of it that had been built up before when it bull flagged out here and we talked about an entry. Then you get the golden cross, and the momentum off of that golden cross has propelled it for another 11% so far today. I seriously think it's going to get to 150, 160. I seriously think that. I don't have indicator targets. I'm just looking at it from a harmonic based kind of, I'll say, speculation. But right now, it's easy to manage this trade. You entered here. The stock is here. So now you can put like a stop loss up here. You can take some profits here. And now you're not going to lose on this trade. You see how easy that is? Now, if it would have broken down, then you would have cut a stop at this 382 and life would have gone on. But this is a great example of a stock that, yes, it's scary because you didn't catch this move, right? You didn't catch that 38%. But the setup was there. The opportunity was there, right? And now look at it go. So really nice. Now, obviously, before the harmonic completion, it will have to contend with this golden pocket at 130 to 140. But if it gets through that, the harmonic is 1,000% going to be complete. So ATOS, very legal, very cool. Tron. Now, you want to talk about another trade of chasing momentum. There you go, folks. Look at Tron. We looked at this and we said, look, folks, it's right at the 382, the macro 382. It's testing and bouncing off of the daily 200 period moving average. And it's right at this 236. And so we said, look, you can make a nice little trade from here to here. And that's 30 fucking percent. That's 30 fucking percent. And you have an easy to manage trade because it just looks like this, right? Take the entry here. Doom. Oops. Didn't mean to touch that one. Boom. Right? Now, is the, I'll say, risk reward ratio amazing at 2.6 to 1? No. But we talked about how there was an indicator signal left at 478. And then we talked about how if it breaks that 382 at 390, the odds of going to that area at 470 to 480 are extremely high. And so a trade that you were targeting 31% on, well, you've already got the 31%. Now we're targeting 60%. And then here's where things get really fun with Tron, right? Tron has another indicator signal that was left a little bit higher, right at the golden pocket. And if Tron then breaks this level here and the macro 236 at $5, a trade that we then wanted 31% on could balloon to 127%. Holy moly. So you see, I'm just curious, okay? And I'm not asking this because I want your fucking praise or attention. I'm genuinely curious. Is what I'm showing you guys here, is this beginning to make sense in terms of the approach to trading these stocks, the management of risk, the areas that we aim for, why we aim for certain areas. Is it kind of starting to like click for you and make a little bit of sense? Don't everybody answer all at once. I know. Don't everybody answer all at once. Save the chat box, you know. Neil Hagen. This is a great comment, and I will talk about this today. Neil Hagen says, yes, but my problem is I'm in love with Jimmy, and it's an abusive relationship. I'm going to talk about that. Neil, if you could remind me once I get into the GME conversation, I want to bring that up. All right. So remind me when I get to the GME conversation. So Tron guys, we're looking for a break of 390. If we can break 390, the indicator signal 478, free money. Free money. Okay, so Tron looking great. Blue Sky, I forget what. Oh yeah, Blue Sky. Blue Sky, guys, watch this thing. I don't know if it's a rounding bottom or a cup with handle yet. We're gonna have to wait and see. Okay, so this could go a few different ways, but if this does turn into a cup with handle, it is the number one bullish continuation pattern. And it's happening at the top of a trend. That's hot. So please put this in your watch list ASAP. Okay, put this on your watch list ASAP. Blue Sky, Black Sky Technology, BKSY. Alrighty, BKSY. Poet. So guys, Poet, we caught that great momentum. It's had a retracement here this morning after making another new high at 941. All right, currently 870. Still looks great. Okay, and I would probably argue with you that this thing is starting to make a potential channel or wedge structure on the 30 or maybe even the 15 minute. I think the 30 looks better, but the 15 might develop. But guys, I don't think the run on Poet is over. But make sure that like you've got your stop losses up and that you're protecting yourselves on this thing. Okay, I just really don't have much to add because I want to see it get to this 1.618 extension at 10:30. I really want to see it get there. Alrighty, we talked about Poet. We talked about FNGR. We'll touch on the GME warrants. DKNG. So we talked about yesterday with DKNG. Had the deeply oversold signal right at support. I still think that it's going to come back down and get into this zone and potentially all the way down to this level here at 28 and provide a better entry. So I didn't do anything with this and I haven't touched it yet, but I am very, very interested in this. And just FYI, yo, DraftKings, call me up, sponsorship, call me up. I mean, I hate you. I think sports gambling is fake and gay, but call me up. All right. And then last one before I move on is more so of a brag than anything else. Tilray. Folks, oops. That is what a bump and run looks like. If you ever have wondered, what does a bump and run look like? Tilray is the perfect example of what a bump and run stock looks like. From the frying pan phase to the bump phase to the run phase. This is arguably the most textbook bump and run that I have seen in quite some time. It's not even close. That is easily one of the cleanest bump and runs I have ever seen in my life. All right. So with Tilray, you have achieved the full profit target. The full profit target is at the start of the pattern. So you have achieved the full profit target on Tilray. Now, the reason I'm going to brag about this is because I'm basically Michael Burry in The Big Short. Right? I'm basically Michael Burry in The Big Short because I talked about Tilray after Trump had won the election. And I said that Republicans and specifically Trump would probably start talking about weed and potentially maybe not national legalization, but national decriminalization. And we talked about how, man, maybe Tilray or Sundial or some of these weed stocks, man, maybe some of those things are going to go stupid. Now, I fully admit that I took maybe a bit of a silly entry. Right? Because at first we kind of talked about this little layer of support. And once it kind of went underneath it, I think we had like a harmonic or something here. I don't remember exactly what it was, but we initially looked at a completion and entry kind of here at like 150 to 120. And then obviously you guys can see that it got absolutely shit on after that. I was right. I was early. And early is not necessarily right. So was Jackie right? Well, I don't think we can give it to me. But I will say this. The thesis was correct. The timing was incorrect. But ultimately, if I had had some more patience, I could have waited for the potential structure to form, could have had a great entry and still walked away with some good money and good profit on Tilray. Unfortunately, didn't. But having said all that, Tilray is a textbook bump and run. And if you were in this trade, folks, it has gone up as much as GME did during its squeeze. 535%. That's a lot of money. And it is now magically touched the golden box of resistance, where before, when we were trading Tilray in this zone, we had the buy support or bullshit line. And then we had the sell resistance line. This was sell resistance. This was buy support. And we bought every time it went there and sold every time it went there and got rewarded heavily almost every single time that happened, except for over here. And now it just magically ran into that line. Okay. If you're still in Tilray, great time to maybe just take a little bit of profit, right? But weed stocks continue to look great because, like you guys said, Trump did the weed commercial and talking about maybe some potential decriminalization and the benefits of marijuana and this, that, and the other, which is super bullish. So Tilray, Sundial, CGC. I'm sure you guys have 100,000 other fucking ones that we could look at, but yeah, so a lot of those weed stocks that we talked about earlier in the year, they did end up doing what we kind of wanted them to do. But I admit that I had my Michael Burry moment where I was just too soon. And if I would have timed it better, I could have done significantly better on those trades. But that's trading. And sometimes it is what it is. And with that, chat, are you ready for some GME discussion? If you are ready for some GameStop discussion, go ahead and type GME into the chat box. Go ahead and type GME into the chat box. That's Spy's almost biggest candle of the day so far. Okie dokie. Alrighty. So GME, it's in the game. So before I kind of got deep into some of the GameStop analysis, I wanted to start with something just easy and simple. Okay. But for many of you, it hasn't seemed easy and simple. And I want to just start with a conversation about this because somebody in the chat box brought this up, and I just, you remember yesterday how we spoke about the experience of being a new trader, the experience of the highs and the lows, the difficulties of being a new trader and the difficulty that comes with it. GameStop and GameStop shareholders. I should really heat up my coffee before I get into this, because this is going to be probably the most important conversation that we have about GameStop during our entire time. So maybe I'll just give a quick, it's pretty warm. So it'll only take me 30 seconds. Give me 30 seconds, chat. You can even count it down. Okay, wait, just wait. Okay, ready? Just wait. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. There you go. Yeah, that's the good stuff. So we have hot coffee. Okay, no, but let's get serious. Okay, everybody serious faces. Everybody put your serious faces on. Everyone serious faces. Okay. GameStop and its shareholders have a unique situation that has arisen due to a unique circumstance and sequence of events. Many of us, when we first got into GME, it was because of the big sneeze, right? And when so many of us got in, so many of us were spoiled by the volatility and the crazy moves that this stock was making. And since that time, where we were told there's going to be a MOAS and the stock is going to go to 420,000 and we're going to go to the moon and blah, 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 blah. We were conditioned to believe that GameStop is the only stock that we should ever trade and nothing else matters because it's GameStop and GameStop only. Those of you that think it's GameStop and GameStop only, let me just stop it right here, right now, and just say there's nothing wrong with that. Some people like to trade a singular asset, and that's okay. I don't fault you. I don't blame you. I don't get mad at you. Nobody is, right? There's nothing wrong with trading a singular asset, but I do want to talk about something here. So many people within the GameStop community believed in the idea that GameStop could go to hundreds of thousands of dollars per share that we dismissed everything else. Right? Like, so many of us were not actually interested in trading. We were more so interested in just hoping and waiting for GameStop to make us all rich so that we didn't really have to put in that much work. And again, I was one of those people. So if this sounds like you or like I'm directing this at you, I'm not. This was me at one point in time. Now, because of this, every single week and month that went by, for GameStop, it would ultimately end with it going lower and lower and lower and lower. And even though it was going lower and lower and lower and being a huge fucking turd, the majority of us didn't give a shit. And we kept saying, I don't care. I only care about GameStop and no other trades mean anything to me. So we would ignore, some of these large cap stocks at the bottom of 2022. We ignored building a long-term portfolio. We ignored being long on some of these other trades that went up thousands of %. Again, I was a victim to some of this myself, so don't feel like I'm trying to poke at you, okay? Because I'm also describing myself within these instances. And so, because of all of this, something unique happened. And again, this applies very specifically to GameStop shareholders. We have become hyper-focused on GameStop. Now, I want to make sure that people actually listen to the conversation that we're having here, because this is important, and I'm not trying to give you shit. I'm not trying to make you feel stupid. I'm not any of those things. Okay. What I want you to understand is that I was at one point in the same position where I became obsessed with GameStop to the point where I would have money in my account and I would see an amazing trade, right? Let's just say, for example, Webull, when it got to this harmonic completion, I would have $1,000 in my account. And I'd see this and I'd be like, I really, really, really want to trade that. Jackie, I really want to trade that. But I wouldn't. You want to know why I wouldn't? Because this thing never left my head. But what if GameStop goes up? What if an event happens? What if a catalyst happens? What if some news breaks? What if GameStop has that huge move? Well, if GameStop has that huge move and I don't have any available liquidity, I don't get to take advantage of it. And this is the stock that I've been watching for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I can't miss this. No way. I'm not going to miss this. And so what ends up happening? We ignore a great trade setup and we fire it in there because GameStop had a 1-minute candle that went up 22 cents. And so many of us, right? And even today, because I know that there's a lot of you out there that struggle with this. So many of us have become obsessed with watching this ticker, so much so to the point where if we only have limited funds available to us, we will ignore every other opportunity because we are afraid of missing this. Now, again, I want people to make sure that you are listening to what I am saying. I am not trying to tell you to forget about GameStop, because I already know that stupid ass motherfuckers are going to try and come in here and clip this and, oh, look, Jackie's trying to make everybody forget about games. No. With GameStop, I have grown up. I no longer fear about missing what could potentially be, because I no longer buy every fucking stupid idiot candle that happens. I don't buy this top. I don't buy that bottom. I don't buy this top. I don't buy the middle here. I don't buy this little candle. I don't buy that fucking bullshit. I don't buy that bullshit. And what I do is buy the stock at support or at lows or at areas of value. For me, over the last year, that area of value has been at any price between $20 and $22.50. And every time that I have done so, I have been rewarded and rewarded heavily. So for me, I don't obsessively watch GameStop ticker because I have taken the position and entries where I wanted to at support. And so when the trade goes up, super duper. Until it's at my profit target, I don't really care. Or until it's having, 30% fucking candles, I don't care. It's not that I don't care about GameStop. It's not that I don't care about the people of GME. It's not that I don't care about the shareholders. It's not that I don't care about the people that are watching the stock, right? It's that I've taken the position where I wanted to at support. I've bought lots of time, whether it's GME stock or GMEU stock or GME leaps for 2027 or now 2028, right? And so with that, it allows me to remain emotionally stable because I don't have to sit here obsessively watching, are my monthlies doing okay today? Did they short ladder attack us down 5% today? I swear to you, I don't even think about it. Because I just buy low at support and wait for the stock to either bounce or break down and hit my stop loss. And the reason that I've done this is because I, like so many of you, was obsessed with watching this every single day. And there's nothing wrong with watching it every day. There's nothing wrong with paying attention to it. But it was getting to a point that it was impacting my trading and my money. Because I was making stupid, silly, irrational decisions because of my love of this company and this stock. You know? And I love GameStop and I love trading and this is my career. And I don't want my career and my trading to be impacted by something that I love. And I love GameStop and I love this company. And I really do think it's going to be a company of the future. It's why I've bought so much. But I can't sit and obsessively watch every 1 minute candle because it will just drive me crazy. Because then I just start to ignore other opportunities and I miss great trading opportunities and I lose money and I hate losing money. So for me, when I trade GME now, it's just about buying lots of time and buying stock at support and then waiting to see if the stock will build at that support and push back up. And so this conversation is more so geared towards those of you that have that same difficulty. And it doesn't necessarily, I'll say, have to be GME. Maybe you're obsessed with the Tesla chart, or maybe you're obsessed with the FNGR chart, or maybe you're obsessed with the Unity chart, or LPSN, or BABA, or whatever. When you become emotionally attached to a stock or a chart or a trade, you've got to find ways to mitigate the potential risk for yourself. Because like when you love a trade, right, all logical thoughts just stop. And I've found this with GME so often. And I know that people still struggle with this today, right? And we've already, how many people? We've already had 50 people leave since we started this conversation. And that's how I can tell people aren't listening to what we're saying here. This is not about forgetting about GameStop. This is not shilling for other tickers. This is about something that impacts a large number of GameStop investors who have become obsessed with this ticker to the point where it is costing them an emotional toll and large amounts of money. Because every week we think it's going to be MOAS, and every week you get new people piling into weeklies and monthlies, praying that this is going to shoot up 50%. I buy at support with lots of time, and then we analyze the stock as it goes along. It's the same analysis that we did when I told you guys that there was a macro 0.5 Fibonacci that was just before the gap fill and indicator signal, where we talked about there would be resistance. And why would there be resistance? Because we talked about the bearish butterfly that had completed right here. And so when we talked about that bearish butterfly that completed on GME at this range, we said there could be a pullback. We're hoping there isn't, but there could be, and it came. And now it's come back down, and it's gone a little bit lower than we all obviously want to see it. But the important thing that we've seen, at least thus far, and this is again where we're getting into some of the technical analysis, you've managed to find support at the same place that the stock built support after GME's earnings gap up. That's really bullish. That's the earnings gap up candle right there. And then here's the low that we made after. And then there's the supportive bet. Look at the zone that we're in. You're right in that same support. So I'll say, while I'm disappointed that the stock has this deep of a retracement, again, I will just continue to say, I think so much of this negativity has so much to do with the GameStop warrants and the complete and total lack of understanding as to what is happening with these fucking things. And I genuinely believe that is the reason that we have seen such a large move down, and why, now that the warrants have been delivered almost broker wide, why we have seen the stock stabilize and build some support. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that this is the most amazing trade setup of all fucking time, because I really don't think it is. And I think some of the difficulty that GameStop might run into while we're at this range is the SPY potentially continuing being a piece of shit. And again, I will get into this conversation here in a minute. But our big fear here, right, is that SPY might put in some touches of bearish divergence on large time frames that could potentially see this thing make a retracement with a potential failure swing, multiple touches of potential bearish divergence. There's reason to think that maybe the SPY could have a significant retracement. And if GME is trading where it is today, when the SPY begins, or if it does make a significant retracement, it's not going to be good. And I know people are going to say negative beta, and last time SPY puked, GME went up. And I know what everybody's going to say. I hear you. I disagree. I just really think that it would be trouble that if we were trading at this level and we started to see the SPY like really break down, like let's say, for example, it goes to 600. Okay, if SPY went to 600 in the course of, let's say, a month to a month and a half, GME is not going to do the literal opposite. In fact, none of these trades, GoPro, Unity, Grove, QSI, Funko, Open, Root, MVIS, UPSC, Mankind, none of those trades are going to go up if the SPY takes a big shit. Now, I'm hoping that the SPY can prove all of us wrong and shake off the divergence and say, fuck you, Jackie, it's bulls only. I really hope that it can do that. Because if it can, then we're in a great position, because we're still at support with reason to think that the stock can make a significant recovery. But until such time, we just analyze where it is and what it is for right now. And where it is at support. So there's reason to think that it can build some support at this range where the gap was. Oops. Right, where that opening gap was. Build support here at the golden pocket and then push us back up. Because again, the only reason we're trading down, I think, is because of confusion with the warrants. And that confusion is going to start getting cleared up as we get more information and more data and more trading from these assets. Lastly, with GME on the weekly haul has flipped green. Okay, the weekly haul flipped green and prices above it. If we look back historically, when that haul has flipped green, okay, so we'll focus on everything after the sneeze. So there's one here, one here, one here, one here, and one here. When it flipped green here, that came off of the back of a huge swing up. Okay, 96%. And then it came back and back tested that. Now, it didn't perfectly touch it, but it back tested 25% into that weekly hull after it flipped. And then, boom, nice, beautiful swing off of the test. Same thing over here. Huge candle, swung us up, came all the way back after it flipped green and back tested. And once that back tested, beautiful swing. Similar thing here. It's kind of goofy, but we'll do the analysis here anyway. Huge swing up, obviously big squeeze, right? Weekly hull flips green, comes back and back tests. Now, obviously, goes a candle underneath it, and it did bounce. This was the August flash crash. It did bounce, but obviously it stayed underneath it the whole time. So I would say that this one is probably a negative example. So far, 1 for 1, 2 for 2, 2 for 3. If we go to this example, again, beautiful swing that flips the weekly hull to green. It comes back and back tests, and on the back test, another beautiful swing back up. And then this one right here, where it flips green, this is kind of a unique one because it never really back tested. It was one candle that broke above it, and then it flipped green, and then boom, boom. So I would pretty much say here that there are only 4 real examples, and of those 4, 3 of them came back after a big swing up that flipped it green, back tested it, and then pushed off of it. And so if we use that analysis to what we are looking at right now with GME, we have the weekly hull flipped. That weekly hull flip is at 2361. If we go into GME, you'll see that 2361, it just so happens to be the gap fill from the earnings. No. Blasphemy. So to me, it wouldn't be the most surprising or shocking thing in the world to have maybe at the end of this week or into next week, come down, fill that gap, and maybe wick into the green hull, bounce off of it, right? And then have us push off of that test of the weekly hull and the gap fill, right? Because then GME would be leaving no gaps on the low side. That would be amazing. That would be huge. Right? No gaps left on the low side. So that would be amazing. All right. So I still think that, you know, we may not necessarily be at, I'll say GME's bottom quite yet. You're building towards seeing that potential. Okay. But we can see now, again, the chart's going to get a little fucking crazy here. We can see here, okay, that's too much, so let's just... So on the Ichimoku, you guys will remember we talked about those red clouds in front of us and that we've banged through those, right? Here's the interesting concept, and here's kind of where my thesis and thought idea or thought process kind of is. If it came back down and tested that weekly hull and then built some support and tried to push up through this, you'll notice that a bounce off of this and then a push up could take us into this opening space of this green cloud. And what we could potentially see is if we did bounce off, sorry, there's so many drawings. I know, I'm so sorry. It's such a shit show. I apologize. I'm trying to make it look nice, but you know, it just, we're getting there. Because I really want people to see this, but it's very difficult to visually see this when you have 122 fucking drawings on here. So, there we go. Okay. So, thought process, pretty simple here. If we could see GME backtest this hull, fill the gap, bounce off of this, right, with the hull flipped green still, and bounce off of support, we could see this over the next few weeks and months try to push through this green hole. And if we can get through that, what will happen is that this cloud is going to flip green in the future. Okay. And as it flips green, if we can get through this, we can then use the weekly clouds as support to push higher and higher off of. Something that we have not seen done in a long, long time on GME. In fact, folks, you have to go all the way back to IPO and the lows after IPO to see GME follow along with a weekly green flipped Ichimoku and then ride against those green flipped clouds. This is textbook and potentially what we could see happen with GME. Again, I know there's so many drawings. What we could potentially see with GME, should we see it get through that green open in the cloud and then use this as this flips green again to ride and see a large, long uptrend begin with GME. Similar to the quite literally the opposite of what you saw here. So I'm really excited for what we're seeing out of GME. It's just, we're in one of those moments in time right now where it just feels shitty because GME is just not really moving. You know, like we caught all this beautiful momentum and we had all this shit going for us. And now, Jackie, it's come back, what, 17, I think, percent or something, right? 14%. Jackie's come back 14%. Wow. It still looks good in my opinion. Bouncing off of the daily 50-period moving average, nice green cloud in front of us. We just really don't want to see GME break through this, right? We don't want to see that. If we can hold this and just, you know, dude, things look fine. I know that it's disappointing that the stock, built all of this momentum, and then everybody on Twitter told us that the warrants were going to make us MOAS and that we were going to get rich, and then the stock dropped 14% after the warrants, and those guys, well, suddenly they were all quiet. Isn't that funny? And so, yeah, we're waiting. That's it. We're just waiting. And the longer that it holds this gap fill of support, the more that it holds the daily 50-period moving average, the longer we can stay above these clouds, the more and more and more it continues to look better. Okay? So this conversation was not sponsored by Ken Griffin. All right? It wasn't sponsored by Citadel. I just want people to understand that I have come from the same place where I obsessively watch this every single day to the point where I ignored everything else, both responsibilities in real life and actual trading and my career. And I found that it was detrimental to me. If you don't think it is and you disagree with me, there's nothing wrong with that, bro. It's totally cool. You're allowed to disagree with me. We don't have to agree on everything. I just know that for myself personally, I just became way too obsessed with this thing to the point that it was impacting my trading. And so I just buy the stock at support. I don't YOLO weeklies unless I see a crazy opportunity, like maybe somebody loading up some weird call flow or something, But I just take leaps. I take my shares at support and I make those trades. And when it gets to my profit targets, I take some off. Not shares because I never sell shares, but you get the idea. I still want the gap fill. I still want the indicator signal. And while I am disappointed that the stock has pushed backwards, I really don't think that it has done anything incredibly detrimental. It hasn't done anything with wicked volume. It's like being in a holding period, and all we can do is just wait. All right. So, yeah, that is the end of my GameStop conversation. So hopefully everybody enjoyed that. And then I'm just going to touch on the GameStop warrants. Okay, So this is an interesting conversation. This is not financial advice. SEC, if you're listening, I'm not telling anybody to do anything. I'm just talking about like common sense here. Okay. So let's talk about the warrants here, and let's make sure that nobody gets in trouble. All right. So here's my thought process. Okay. GameStop gives warrants to all of its shareholders. Right? GameStop is giving warrants to all of its shareholders. So all the people that own stock, if you own more than 10 shares, you're going to get a warrant or more. Okay. Those warrants go into the accounts of dedicated shareholders. People like Ryan, the cat, myself, Dragon, Weak Sauce, Bacon, Wall Street, Ultimator, Cooper, Chan, Morantz, right? Even if we don't like them, it goes into their hands, and they are dedicated shareholders, and they are holding it, right? So because those warrants are going into the hands of dedicated shareholders, my thought process here is pretty simple. A large majority of the float, theoretically speaking, should be locked away on the warrants, right? Because lots of the GameStop traders are going to get those warrants, and what, we're supposed to sell 150 warrants for $3. Wow, guys, look out. I just made $340. I'm fucking rich. Seriously, like, who's going to sell the warrants, right? And then who's ever exercising them is savagely retarded, but I respect you, goddammit. Either way, those warrants are going into the hands of dedicated shareholders who have already not sold their GME stock over the last 1 to 5 years. And so my thought process here is pretty simple. If the majority of this float is locked away, couldn't the warrants squeeze? Like, because you can buy these, right? Like, these are tradable. I showed you guys yesterday. I bought some through my Canada broker. These are tradable. And these have an exceptionally low float. Like, an exceptionally low float. And the majority of that float is probably already locked away with a shitload of regular investors and the large investors that hold this company. So I have to wonder, couldn't this asset squeeze if there becomes incredible demand for said warrants, but not enough warrants to fill the demand? Couldn't, you know, and again, I'm just spitballing. I'm just speaking in theory, like theoretical here. But couldn't this literally just squeeze? Has a super low float with the majority of it locked away. It's tradable on almost every brokerage. Well, I don't know. It's an interesting thought. You know, it's an interesting thought. Does DJT still have the warrants on there? They do. Because I was looking at DJT's warrants the other day, and these really caught my attention. Because if we put this and DJT side by side, you'll see what I mean here in a second. I'll hide the indicator here. So when we put these things side by side here, it's now, again, I already recognize that the warrants are closer to options than they are regular stock, but look at the percentage movements here. Okay, sorry, that's the 1 minute time frame. There we go. Look at the percentage movements here. All right. So here's DJT warrants on the left-hand screen, and then here's DJT on the right-hand side. Okay. Look at these percentages. Now, you can very clearly see that the large swing down on the warrants was nothing like the large swing down that happened on DJT stock, right? Nothing like it. DJT literally went all the way back and double bottomed. The warrants, I don't think they even retraced 50%. Okay, they retraced almost to the golden pocket, but not even close to making a double bottom, right? The other thing that I also kind of thought was really interesting is look at the percentages. Now, I'll do two different spots. I'm going to go from here to here, all right? And then I'll also go from the low to the first kind of swing high. Look at these percentages. DJT warrants from the low to the peak, 1,400%. That is fucking insane. And then my other favorite one, I wish I was trading the warrants back here. DJT made this move that we called at 13, right? 365%. Look at the fucking warrants. It's really, really interesting, at least I'll say from my point of view, to see GameStop and the warrants. Oops, I meant to do the warrants 5-minute time frame. It'll be interesting to me to see what would ultimately happen to those same warrants if GME did start to catch some support and started to bounce and started to really see some, I'll say, volatile moves towards 29, 30, 35, etc., etc. Could the GME warrants theoretically squeeze into some ridiculous prices? Could we see GameStop warrants potentially do a similar percentage move that we saw with the DJT warrants? Right? What does a 1,400% move look like? Right? What does a 1,400% move look like? Well, folks, that would take GME's warrants up to $50. 50. It's interesting to consider the idea that perhaps right now the warrants might be an equally as enticing, I'll say, asset to trade as the actual stock itself. Because the interesting thing about the warrants is the warrants also give you exposure to GameStop should you choose to exercise them, right, for the $32 price in the future, if it is still exploding or whatever it happens to be. But percentage to percentage, I got to tell you guys, I'm watching these warrants extremely closely because I think that there could be something very interesting that might happen with these in the future that could see some extremely explosive moves that, now, again, I am not extremely well versed in this, and it's still something that I'm trying to figure out myself. But I wonder what would happen if the warrants squeezed. What would happen to GME1? Because GME1 is the original options and options chain that was sold on GameStop, and GME1 includes the warrants. What happens to GME1 and GME1 options should the warrants begin to squeeze? Because the warrants are one of the assets that is triggered within those GME1 books. So if the very thing that is inside of the books for that asset of GME1 begins to squeeze, what could potentially happen to GME1 stock and options? That's the big question. Because I think that if these warrants were to squeeze or have some unholy fucking move, I would imagine that some of those legacy positions on the GME1 options and GME1 leaps, I would imagine that some of those options and leaps might begin to do something unbelievable. And this is why I have begun to turn my attention towards these warrants, Because what theoretically happens if the warrant begins to become detached from the stock itself due to such a high demand and interest in this particular asset? And then what are the repercussions? What are the reverberations of that potential movement of those warrants decoupling from GameStop due to the fact of the GME1 legacy positions? There's so many interesting and unique things that even I will admit that I think I glossed over when we kind of started our initial discussion about the warrants and their potential importance. I am beginning to see the potential roadmap as to what could happen in the future with these warrants. And again, I think it all goes back into GME1 and those legacy positions that have been created due to this warrant and just the weird nature of how these brokerages have handled both the distribution of the warrants and the changing of the options chain. So I'm very curious as to what would happen if the demand for the warrants just surged out of nowhere. Could we theoretically see a potential squeeze on GameStop caused by the warrants and the large demand from said warrants? Obviously, it's really early in the ballgame. We are literally day 2 of having this asset now trade. So we are still very early in this game. But if it's anything like the Blue Jays, well, we already know what's going to happen to Ken Griffin. That was a baseball being hit as a home run, not... You get it. So, yeah, that is my GameStop and GameStop warrant conversation. As far as the stock is concerned, we're not really doing much or going anywhere. SPY is kind of still a little bit in the middle of no man land. Tesla down to 429, down 2% on the day, so nothing crazy. UNH is still, well, NVIDIA is officially over 100% since we bought it. So NVIDIA, is it 100? Oh, no, it's so close, 96%. Darn it. What else? Sweet Green, 3%. Heli keeps going lower. Balls, that's all right. What else do we have here? QS. Oh, okay, good. Good to see Quantum stock back up. So maybe QSI will start getting a little bit of a bid. KView still doing all right today, breaking out of that daily RSI wedge. So that's good to see after the harmonic completion. As far as our little stocks that we're paying attention to, FNGR, Bull, Tron, Atos, they all kind of came back. ASST, I'm out of this thing. So just cut the L on that one, and it is what it is. So fucking bummer. But you can see it's literally broken all supports that we had marked off. So out we go. So balls on that one. Balls to ASST. ASTS, I literally don't know how this thing just keeps going higher and higher. Neo down 4%. So yeah, small cap market must just be kind of poop today. Not really. I mean, it's not down worse than any of the other ones. I don't know if you guys saw this, but this was also pretty interesting. Last week was the first week in history that the VIX, count them up, Monday, September 29th, count them up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight green days. Go to the SPY, week of the 29th. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Was that on ES? Oh, there it is. Sorry, my apologies. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 straight green days on SPY, 5 straight green days on the VIX. This is the only time that this has ever happened in the history of the stock market. It's the only time that that's ever happened in the history. Wow, SPY. Okay. So yeah, only time that that's ever happened in the history of the stock market. 5 green days on VIX, 5 green days on the SPY. Very, 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 very interesting to have something happen where both the VIX and the SPY are both green on the same time at the same week. Folks, I don't know what's going to happen, but I still am as confident as I have ever been about the potential for SPY having that retracement and this potential failure swing and the touches of bearish. I really am concerned here. So, you know, like when we are looking at some of these trades, I'll say like Tron, Bull, Figs, Play, and any of these kind of like smaller things, this is a good time where if you just don't really like the setup or you're kind of hesitant or not really sure, great time to just say, nope, not interested. All right. But yeah, very interesting stuff to see the VIX and the SPY. 5 straight green days in a row on both those assets. Now, I thought on SPY it was 5 days in a row, but it was 5 days in a row from Friday, not from the Monday, because then the Friday on that same week closed down 1 penny. So it was 1 penny from being green. But regardless, the point still stands. 5 straight green on SPY, 5 straight green on VIX, and that's concerning. And then somebody also brought up UVXY. UVXY is very interesting because I'm sure you guys will see here. Look at all the touches of bullish divergence. Multiple touches of bullish divergence on UVXY. And you're about to run into a fib time zone on Thursday next week. So very, very, very interesting to see all of those things kind of, I'll say, coming to fruition. All right, SPY, good bounce off the golden pocket again. So 670 is a big spot for SPY to hold today. 670 is a really big spot. Let's get to some of the super chats because I slacked on those from earlier this morning. D. Smitty says, I took profit on Tron and PayPal, and I also bought more LPSN. I want to re-enter PayPal at 74, 73 range. Good job, D. Smitty. Good job, buddy. Yeah, PayPal done excellent. So it ran into that first resistive point. So good profit taking. Still argue that 85, 86 is a good place, but we know that that will be resistance. But yeah, nice job on that one. And then looking, you know, I would just say even a re-entry back down at this green box is probably still a good possibility if it does fail that gap test or any of those moving averages. Lino with the $10 bomb says Netflix thing looks primed for a huge jump up. Weekly RSI wedge, weekly bull flag. Thanks for all you do. Love the tits gang. Can't wait to join the Discord. Discord discount incoming ? All right, Netflix. Weekly. Okay, I definitely agree about the bull flag. I definitely agree about that. Definitely agree about the bull flag. There's your measured target, right? The weekly RSI wedge is kind of goofy, but I will say that you have like some sort of Rick and Morty lips kind of beginning to form there. So I would definitely say that it does continue to look good. And then the other big important thing is the bounce off of the center line so far this week. That's really important. And then you're making a really strong weekly candle here. So I would say that, yeah, you're probably right. Netflix actually looks really fucking strong for a further breakout to the upside. And I think that's all-time high, right? Isn't it? Am I wrong? No, that's all-time high. What we should do is, what if no. Can I go from there to there to there? Where is that tool again? Right there. So from there to there to whatever that low is, and then we'll adjust this. Original. No, it's not very good. Oh, it was actually at one point. What if I try the other way? What if I go from that high to that high and then do that? So go from there to there and then drag that there and then change the trajectory. No? Okay, so then maybe I need to go high to a low to a high. And then let's see if that will help. Okay, well, it's not the worst thing I've ever drawn, but it's not the greatest thing I've ever drawn either. Zoom in a little bit. No, I think it looks really good. You've obviously got earnings coming up here in the next 2 weeks. So that's something that you sort of have to be concerned about, obviously. But as it stands right now, I think your analysis is spot on. The thing looks super fucking cracked. So hopefully that earnings produces a violent move to the upside for you. But I would definitely agree that Netflix looks awesome. Vilferno or Villano says with the $5 bomb, Path. So looks like Path got to our indicator signals. I haven't looked at this thing in forever, but I don't know why. You guys scam me again. You should have told me to buy it. Fucking scammers. It has another indicator signal at $18. So I would just say aim for $18. That feels like free money. And then you've broken and so far open and closed above the 236. So theoretically speaking, you do have that 80% chance of going to the 382 at $22. And that is the prior high within that formation back over there. I guess that was the last time that we talked about it. So pretty big moves that it's made here over the last few last 2 months, 68% up. So pretty impressive. Another indicator signal at $18. Definitely would aim there. And then 22. But yeah, this thing looks really fucking strong. I will say that you're deeply overbought. So I don't know how much more it wants to go. Probably getting close to the end of the run. There also might be a bearish batter crab. Yeah, bearish deep crab here. That completes at approximately 19, give or take. So yeah, 18 and 19 is probably where I would aim for, and I don't know how much more you'll get after that, at least temporarily, okay? So that's what I would say about Path. Ignorus, may you take a glimpse into Atos? Okay, good, we did do Atos. Bradley Arthur, GMEWS, aka GME Warrant Squeeze. Devin Toop says, UNH, I think he's about to pull back after hitting the 618. I think it's going to fill the gap. So I disagree. I think it's going to fill the remaining of the gap fill that it has, which is that gray box right there. So that is the gap fill. That is how much of it remains. Literally less than $3 remains in the gap fill. So I think that it's going to fill that, and I will be taking all of my leap option profit once it does that, and I will be holding on to all of the shares that I own on this thing. But that's what my thought process is on this thing. I really, really do genuinely believe it's going to fill that gap. There's also still an indicator signal at 388, and I've also told most of you guys that I think that this is going back to 400, if not even 500. So UNH, I want the gap fill, and I want to see that thing get to 388 and then test the daily 200 at $400. I want to see that before any significant pullback. Lots will depend on the SPY continuing to remain strong, but you know, so far I would say that everything suggests that UNH is probably going to fill the gap and head towards the macro 0.5 and get towards that $388 area. Alrighty, so that's what I would say about that thing. We had Thomas Johnson. It's a Johnson with the 5 gifted memberships. Thank you, good sir. All right, so we've got SPY kind of being a weird little turd. Tesla has that 30-minute / 1 hour complex head and shoulders that we spoke about there briefly. So Tesla, we're still watching that macro daily failure swing, right? That's where kind of our whole thesis sort of hinges upon with potential Tesla Q trades or Tesla puts. All right, so that's kind of what we're looking at there for Tesla. Big complex head and shoulders. I think that's like the number 3 bearish reversal. Head and shoulders, complex number 6. It's the number 6 bearish reversal pattern in the market. And then you follow that up with a failure swing on the daily time frame that has back tested and rejected the confirmation line and bull zone. The next logical conclusion is Tesla going to now test the center line, and then that center line test is going to be wildly, wildly important for both Tesla and Tesla Q. All right, but so far our Tesla short trade is working out fantastically. It's working out absolutely flawlessly, folks. So very happy with what we've gotten out of this so far. I want more though. I really, really want more. I told you guys this yesterday. The huge important question here with regards to Tesla now is, can we get the move on Tesla down before Tesla Q's split? I'm not holding Tesla Q through a split. I'm not going to fucking do it. So we've got like the next 1.5 weeks for Tesla to, kind of play out these complex head and shoulders and hopefully give us this huge move that could pay us extremely well. All right, so we'll see what happens, but it's looking really interesting here. It's looking really fucking interesting. So big thing is seeing if the market is going to push us backwards, because if it does, Tesla should come down with it, but we've got to be patient and allow that to, kind of come to fruition. Okay, Pepsi, KVU is doing well. Chipotle still has that big harmonic completion and reaction that we're waiting for. GameStop it's literally doing nothing. It looks like I haven't even moved. It's because it hasn't. What else do we have here? Okay. Yeah, everything retraced with SPY kind of being a turd here. I see Bark is up 5%. So still holding on to that green box of support, which is good to see. Really not much else happening out there, folks. Like, really not much else happening. SPY kind of stuck. All right, let's check in with the chat box. Wes Kestis with the $10 Bomberino just says smiley face. Thanks, Wes. I appreciate that. Thank you, Wes. I appreciate that. Yeah, silver is having itself a crazy fucking week. SLV. So yeah, silver is just having itself a hell of a fucking run here. Unbelievable. SLV so close to a new all-time high. Amazing. And then who could forget about gold? Shout out Lencho for gold. Who could forget about gold? Amazing. Shout out wood. I guess listen, that's just what the chart says. I just do what the chart says. VIX is up 3%. SPY had a big bounce there off that golden pocket again. Yeah, everything is pretty stuck in some mud here. Yeah, crazy. KVU 2.5%. That's good to see. Alrighty, let's go back over to the chat box. And we had the early Berg gets the worm. The early Berg gets the worm with the 5 gifted memberships. Thank you, early Berg, you absolute legend. Thank you, good sir. Wood. Hi, Jackie. If you get time, could you check on LAES? Laeses. Dun, 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 dun. Bingo was his name. Oh. Yeah, so LAES is just it's running into huge resistance. This macro golden pocket is what I told you guys about last week for LAES. And what we need to see is quantum stocks continuing to grit their teeth. LAES, super close to a daily golden cross as it's at the golden pocket. So if you want to see this motherfucker rip, you know where it needs to get through, which is 570. All right. Nice kind of, you could argue, cup with handle, rounding bottom. There's a couple different ways to approach what this could potentially be. But there's definitely a clean pattern. Daily RSI back in the bull zone. ADX, hot coffee, DMI positive up. Lots to really like about this thing. It's just now more than ever, it needs to grit its teeth, and it needs to, like, big volume, big candles straight up, right? And these are like QS, right? You watch QS, which is up a nice 5% today. You got QUBT, which you need to see this thing continue to grit its teeth, right? We've got Rigetti, RGTI, which also continues to be on the warpath. And then quietly coming along, we would just want to see QSI also kind of come along for the party as well. All right, so with LAES, you just want to continue to see those quantum stocks doing well. And then you really, specifically for LAES, you need to break 570. And if you can break 570, this motherfucker is probably going to see a just monster fucking move, like a monster move. So that's what you're looking at for LAES and quantum stocks. Alrighty. M. Anwar says, after Tron, I think I have another germ. STGW. Huge bull flag, rejected, golden pocket, RSI above EMA. STGW. I don't think I like this one as much because it has rejected, after this death cross here, it has rejected every single attempt it has made at breaking above it. It rejected this test and then died, then rejected this first test and dumped again, and then rejected all of these tests and dumped again. Then it rejected these 3 or 4 tests so far and rejected. And while it's rejected that, it's also lost the daily 50. And now that golden cross that was kind of creeping up is sort of looking in jeopardy. RSI rejecting the center line multiple times, slipping below the daily EMA. There's no real strength of trend here. So obviously that's something to take into consideration. But yeah, just not thoroughly impressed with all of these rejections of the daily 200. It's not... doesn't typically signal a great sign of strength. So we'll pull a fib from this low to this high and see where it's at. It's above the golden pocket, which is good. Below the macro 0.5. We'll pull another fib from that high to the low and just see. I don't think this one looks, I'll say, as good or as clean. I do wonder if there's also maybe something harmonic that could happen here. Possibly, but that's a long way. Very predictive. I really don't think it looks very good. And I don't like the rejections of the center. I hate the rejections of the daily moving averages. I would probably be patient and let this come down to this golden pocket and then see how price reacts to the golden pocket like it did here, right? But if it fails that test of the golden pocket, it's almost certainly going to come back down and try and like triple bottom at these lows of what, 415 or 430 ish in that range. So that's what I would say about STWG. And then Chad says thoughts on 1 year out SPY put to hedge ULTY. 1 year out SPY put. That's really expensive though. A 1 year out SPY put is very expensive. There's way better ways to hedge against potential downside if that's what you're worried about. ULTY. So again, I want to make sure that people understand this. ULTY, MSTY, all of these like MSTR, Yield Max, ETF things, these are not designed to make you rich. These are specifically designed to hedge against a position that you have on a stock or maybe in crypto. Okay, so that's where I want to start this conversation with. Having said that, with ULTY, if you're trying to hedge against some potential downside on this thing, like there's way better ways to do it. Like I would buy Tesla Q if I thought the market was going down. That's a way better way to hedge against it without options. I would buy the tech short ETF. I think it's called TEX. Yeah, so TECS, Direction Daily Tech Bear ETF. Right? Because like these are way cheaper and doesn't cost nearly as much, right? So your hedge against your hedge doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. All right, so with ULTY, there's so many different ways that if you're trying to hedge against a position on anything like that, I would do 900 other things before I would use SPY options, because SPY options are expensive, they're volatile, and they scam. So I would even look at like SPY sectors, right? I would hedge maybe with SPY sector puts, you know, XLK puts if you wanted. You know, something like that. And again, none of that is financial advice. I'm just spitballing ideas. So, SOX S, exactly. Like, there's things like that. Yep. Yeah, Bark is pretty interesting. It did have a good day so far today. You were saying something about daily RSI wedge. Oh, yeah, nice. And their weekly inverted head and shoulders. Yeah. So that weekly inverted head and shoulders on Bark is trying to break. It's getting somewhere. A test of the center line would make a lot of sense. So yeah, there's a big inverted weekly head and shoulders on Bark in combination with a potential daily RSI wedge right here. So that's pretty interesting. Good eye. I forgot about that inverted head and shoulders on the weekly. I forgot about that. I should write that down. Bark. Weekly RSI IHS. Okay, there we go. Got that written down. So yeah, Bark, very interesting. Bark has held exceptionally well at that $80 support. Or excuse me, 80 cent support, not $80. My apologies. Couldn't you hedge with UVXY? You sure could. You sure could. And UVXY is cheap. Cheapy, almost free. GME literally looks like I pressed pause on GameStop. It actually looks like I pressed pause and then said, okay, guys, we'll come back. And then I'll unpause it and make it go up. The warrants haven't moved. The warrants are back to break even. All right. Ooh, what's down 8%? BKKT. SPWH down 4. I swear to you, if this goes back to the bottom side of that channel, I'm buying the fuck out of this thing. DKNG 1%, FNGR 2%, Tron 5, Atos 5, Piton 2, Hun -1.5, ASTS 7, ANF break even. SPY fucking around. So yeah, SPY kind of fucking around. Oil stocks are down a little bit. TLT hasn't moved. Gold and silver. Silver's kicking ass on the day. Gold is kind of lagging behind. Let's check in on crypto. Crypto is just getting ass blasted today. Some of the crypto stocks I saw were doing okay. Wolf 6% and CLSK 4%. So I saw some of those crypto miners were continuing to do well. Also, one coin that I haven't looked at in forever that I saw somebody was looking at yesterday. I cannot believe that BNB is trading at $1,200 a coin. I looked at this thing at 200. Motherfucker. I can't believe it's trading at 1,200. That is insane. I was so surprised when I saw that. I thought that was a scam. I thought somebody was lying about that. Why you always lying? Blaze to the moon with a 5 says, thank you, Jackie, for all your knowledge. Can you check on Unity? On the 1 hour, the hull is changing green. It sure is. Possible failure swing with confirmation as well on the 4 hour, right? Below 30, up, divergent touch, swing. So kind of a 4 hour failure swing there as well with that 1 hour hull flipping green. Looks like you're testing the 236 at 38.15. So that's a really big spot, 38.15. If you can break 38.15, that looks pretty good. My expectation, I still want this harmonic completed. But yeah, you got the right idea there, man, with the 1 hour hull flipping. And then this nice little 4 hour failure swing, exiting the bear zone now above the EMA. That looks pretty good. So if it does start to break out, you probably want to target 39. And then if you can break 39, 42, 43, probably the next logical spot. Alrighty. Mavi, hey man, hope all is well. Can you take a look at K-View? So K-View has that big harmonic completion, the bullish deep crab. We've got the bullish daily RSI wedge breaking out of the bear zone. So we really like that. Next big accomplishments now is going to be pulling a fib from the high to the low of the harmonic and looking for the 236. That 236 is at 1730. So that's the first big spot to get to. All right, 1730 is the first big spot to get to. If it can get through 1730, then you can aim for profit target number 1 at 1860. But loving what I see out of K-View. We talked about this on Monday or Tuesday. I don't remember. But K-View, really nice. Looking good. Love the big harmonic. Great reversal harmonic. Nice completion. Nice RSI wedge. Would love to see those DMIs cross. But otherwise, really like what I'm seeing out of K-View so far. Like, really, really like what I'm seeing. Alrighty. So K-View is one of those ones that we jumped into earlier this week, and it's working out well. And then last one on the list here from, oh, no, I got another one after this. MJ with the 40 SAR says, hi, Jackie. Thoughts on CXAI? 6i. 6i? I don't know. Okay. All right. 6i. So looks like it broke that macro area of support that we had marked off from before. Hasn't really done much since it broke underneath it. It is trying to get back towards it. Back above the daily 50. Still below the 236 and still below that kind of golden box of support and resistance that we drew. RSI looks great. ADX DMI looks great. I would say that it looks pretty clear for at least a test of this zone. You know, say 120 to 110. It looks pretty clear for a test of that. You are going to run into some hard resistance. Your daily 200 and the macro 236. That's going to be very difficult. But if it gets through that, I mean, look at the moves that it's made before. It's very volatile. So, if it gets through that, the potential for those moves, the 80% chance to the 382 and blah, 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 right? It's got some potential for some large moves. I don't have any indicator signals. I do also, excuse me. I do also see this. That's a pretty clear trend line break, it looks like to me, on the weekly. Even the weekly has the same like RSI wedge. Huh. It's not very clean, but well, the weekly is right at the center. So if you're hoping that this thing is really going to break out, that weekly needs to break center. So that's the big thing that you're watching. A break of 110 and the weekly RSI breaking center. Alrighty, that's what I would say about that thing. Wolf is a crypto miner, yes. WULF is a crypto miner, yes. Kavki with the 25 Ron says, I FOMO went long on Root when it was at 92. Should I be patient until it goes back up or just eat my losses? Well, I can't give you financial advice. You already know that, silly goose. But like, if you love Root at 92, you're probably going to love it at 81. You know what I mean? But no, seriously, like the stock has a double harmonic completion and didn't hit any of the profit targets. I would probably assume, I haven't looked yet, but on the weekly, it's probably a touch of bullish divergence between those two lows. It might be, it still has yet to form. And you do also have like this weekly structure here, right? That little weekly RSI trend line there. So Root, I still think long-term is going to be just fine. We have seen the stock obviously retrace after that inverted head and shoulders where we were targeting that 80% chance of the 382, right? So when we pulled the fib from do to do, right? We were hoping for the 80% chance of getting here, and we got close, but close is only good in horseshoes. And so we didn't get there. It's now since retraced, but it's still at macro support. Just look over to the left, right? You're still all within this supportive range all through here, right? This is all support. So Root, I think it's just time. I think it's just time with Root. Was really hoping that inverted head and shoulders was going to give us a bigger move, but just didn't. So now we're kind of watching that weekly RSI trend line. You could even argue that it is like an RSI channel. It's just, you get it. So yeah, that's what we're watching for on Root. So I don't think Root is done by any sense or stretch of the word. I just think, we've just seen some weakness on it here recently, but I think it's still fine. I don't really have anything ultra negative to say about it. Still higher lows, still higher highs. It's just we got a little retracement here on our hands. So we'll see if that weekly RSI wedge can help break us out of this little downtrend that we've been in since, midway through the year. Alrighty. So that is Root. And then Bradley Arthur with another $5 bomb says GME WS, aka GME Warrant Squeeze. Thank you, good sir. Do you see a monthly RSI wedge? That was on MJ's thing for CXAI. A very small one. A very small one, but yes. Yeah, there definitely is. So yes. There definitely is. I would say that the weekly and the center line is probably more important than that monthly wedge. So I would say pay more attention to that, the weekly RSI at the center line. But yes, the monthly does have a wedge for sure. And then I wanted to get to the question for Lelio. Says, I don't know if I missed it, but can you go through your thought process on the SPY puts it open? Yes. So I did want to talk about that. So yesterday, you guys will remember that I did like a short trade, right? So I had a short trade yesterday right here that I initiated right here. And then my stop loss was $1 higher than that. So it was at like 673 something. And so when we opened this morning, I knew that the open was going to trigger the stop loss on that initial trade. So my thought process here was pretty simple. Place an entry where the original stop loss was. Right? So the only reason that I went short this morning is because I had an idea from yesterday. And the idea from yesterday, the short that I tried yesterday, was because I was seeing the 1 hour and the 30 minute. I saw this high to this high, which was a higher high, and this high to this high, which was a lower high on the RSI. And then I saw this high to this high, which was another higher high. And then I saw this high to this high, which was an equal high. So I saw 2 touches of bearish divergence forming. So my thought process was, well, if I go short there, maybe that touch of divergence will confirm tomorrow or yesterday, and then we could see a big SPY swing down. But yesterday it didn't happen. So when it opened this morning, it triggered the stop loss on that trade from yesterday. However, I entered back into it because I put an entry where my stop loss was, and the bearish divergence had yet to be broken off yet. So that was kind of my thought process. And then the thought process on seeing the continuation of the short trade now is pretty simple. So if we go to SPY on the 1 hour here, SPY on the hourly and on the 30 minute, it doesn't matter. It's all the same here for me, but we'll look at both just to show you. So SPY on the hourly is currently testing the center line. So if I want to see SPY get that full follow through on kind of like a, short sided trade, or maybe to get Tesla to have some more follow through, that 1 hour RSI needs to go through the center line. And, if you want a little bit, I'll say, easier to understand, you would just drop to the 30 minute, and it's all the same, right? You need the 30 minute to lose the center line and go for a break of the bear zone. And if we can lose the center and get that break towards the bear zone, we should see a similar move to what we saw here, where SPY kind of evaporated like $3, right? We should see something similar to that, in that SPY can evaporate $3-4 right back to these same supports, and then see what's going to happen after that. But that was kind of my thought process yesterday, and that's what led into my thought process early this morning on kind of looking at a SPY short right out of the gate. And it's really just because of a trade that I had yesterday that didn't work out, but opened up better opportunity this morning. All right, so that was kind of my idea there with SPY this morning. That was the idea there. OCGN. Yeah, so we talked about OCGN with the 3 rising valleys. After the harmonic completion, we had the indicator target at 224. Dude, I'll make it simple. Aim for 224. There's an indicator signal left from all the way back here, right there. You've broken the macro 236. You've broken the macro 382 right here at 158. It's almost free money to assume the 60% odds of getting to the 0.5 and then filling the indicator signal at 224 and 250. So that's free money on OCGN. So nice, good stuff there on OCGN. So just make it nice and easy for you on that one. Am I able to see flow on warrants? Well, the warrants don't have options, so there shouldn't be any flow on GME warrants. Yeah, because there's no options for the warrants, so there shouldn't be any flow. Can I tell you about GME flow? Yeah, I can tell you about GME flow. The GME flow is fucking abysmal again. Yeah, it's just terrible. And GME1 shouldn't have anything because those options can't really trade. So those are borderline fucking useless. No, I didn't say GMED. I put GME1, you fucking coward. Why are you flipping me to GMED? I put GME1, you son of a bitch. I dare you. I dare you to flip it from GME1 one more time, you fucking son of a bitch. I dare you. That was... Yeah, so GME1 is borderline fucking useless. And then we've got 97 fucking ETFs for GameStop. GMEU, GMEY, IGME. And then soon we're about to have a T-Rex 3X long exposure ET. You know what I'm getting fucking tired of? Everybody telling us what a piece of shit GameStop is, but then coming out with singular asset ETFs for a piece of shit retail company that apparently is a piece of shit. Why does GameStop have 4 fucking ETFs? Bro, Tesla doesn't even have that many ETFs. Tesla don't even got that kind of shit. Okay, well, maybe it does. What's boats? I just want the CBOEs. Like, why is GameStop growing as many fucking funds as Tesla? That's fucked. Now, see, it says none, but we all know that that's a scam, right? So, I don't get it. Why does a stock like GameStop that has moved? Let's count it up here, folks. So, GameStop, the stock that has moved $6 in half the year. Why does a stock that moves $6 in half a year have 4 fucking leverage long ETFs? I don't fucking get it. It is absolutely fucking ridiculous. Yeah, and exactly. That was my other point that I was making on Twitter this morning. Notice how none of those ETFs are short ETFs, right? GMEU, T-Rex long ETF, right? GMEY, right? Strategic Options Income Strategy, IGME, right? Bitwise GME Options Income. Notice how none of them are short ETFs. Funny, isn't it? Right? That if retail wanted to take advantage of some downside movement on GME as protection, sorry, no ETF for you to hedge against downside. Only can hedge against upside, and that's it. Sorry. It is such a fucking joke. And I hope Brian Cohen or Larry Chang or someone is listening. It'd be really cool if insiders would come out and say, why the fuck are random companies making ETFs of our stock? This is fucking bullshit. Stop making ETFs of our stock so that you can short it into the ground and fucking crush volatility. I know what you're doing, you son of a bitch. Fucking goofs. Thoughts on physical silver or ETFs? Physical silver. Own it. Don't trade it. No, but seriously. Own it. Don't trade it. Silver and gold and copper and oil and palladium and all that shit is going to the fucking moon. It's all going to the fucking moon. But yeah, seriously, buy real gold and silver. But actually. I assume that GME warrants would look like an option. Why does it look like a stock? What do you mean look like an option? It's a warrant. It's not an option. It's a warrant. It's totally different from an option. Totally different. They are not one in the same, good sir. Alrighty, folks. Alrighty. Well, I only got to sip half of my coffee. We're about 2.5 hours, 2.25 hours into the day. It's looking like it's going to be one of those days. It's going to be one of those days. So, I think I'm ready to get outside and go enjoy what last little bit of summer that we have remaining, even though it's not very warm, according to my phone. It is supposed to warm up, well, I thought later, but apparently not. Oh, that's sucky. Okay, well, apparently 14 degrees is what we're doing today. So, all right. Well, folks, I think that is it. That is all for today's stream. Not too much more to add from what we've kind of already spoken about for some of those trades and stuff that we've got going on. Obviously going to be watching SPY and how it reacts to 670, and then I'll be paying very close attention to Tesla and what's going on with Tesla during that potential test. Outside of that, folks, you know, we've kind of already got our trades on the go with Bull and Tron and those other kind of the UPST and FNGR, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, that's what we got going on, folks. That's what we got going on here today and this week. So tomorrow is Friday. Fuck yeah, Friday. So, you know, maybe we'll do rich people shit Friday. We'll have some fun on Friday again, as per usual. And yeah, so that is it, folks. That is all that I have for you here today, here this morning. Thank you all very much for tuning into the streams. Thank you for your donations. Thank you for all of the super chats. Thank you for all the gifted memberships. I appreciate all of you. And I will see you in the Discord. And hopefully SPY takes a big nasty shit and our Tesla Q goes to the moon. So thank you all for tuning in. Appreciate your time as per usual. Hopefully Friday is some more fun. Thank you guys. Have a great day.